Hi, my name is Kyle Markley, and I did my organizational analysis on the athletic communications department within the overall athletic department at the University of Northern Colorado. So I chose to do my um, analysis on this subgroup of the athletic department. Uh, they are located at the Butler Hancock Athletic Center in Greeley, Colorado, um, with all the other sports programs and sports. Everybody's located in this building. For my SWOT analysis, a few strengths is that it's a very small department. So as a strength, you get to know the coaches and players on a personal level, which comes in very handy since you're always, putting out social media and writing stories on uh, the athletics website, uncbears.com. So it just helps to um, put out better stories since you gain the trust of the coaches and players and get to know them on a personal level. Um, Also, there is not much media or many media outlets nearby, so uh, you get to essentially kind of control your message that you're putting out to the public as well, since you don't have a bunch of media outlets to worry about putting out something that you think is false or is misrepresentative of maybe what you believe the story actually is. Some weaknesses is currently there is no full-time director of the athletic communications department. There is just a acting director. The former full-time director left a few months ago, and another person was hired, and due to some personal circumstances, they left as well. So it's just an acting director right now, while they kind of decide what they're going to do as far as promoting from within or hiring somebody from the outside. There is a lack of staff in the department. There is only one full-time employee. Uh, the only other people in the department are graduate assistants and interns. So each employee must be responsible for covering multiple sports instead of having one person assigned to each sport. Uh, Also, kind of because of this lack of staff, there is less time off because everybody has to help out covering events. Events like football, basketball, volleyball, things like that. It takes multiple people to cover those events properly, run the different programs that they have to run to capture the stats and post on social media. It takes multiple people to do that. So because there's so few people, you're generally having to work almost every event. Some opportunities. One would obviously be hiring a full-time director for the department to kind of take some of the pressure off everybody else. It also um, give some have somebody to provide maybe some more leadership and guidance for those below them. Hiring additional staff below the director, so everybody doesn't have to cover multiple sports, and maybe you don't have to be at every event. Can take some events off and get some more personal time to yourself. Um, Getting to learn all aspects, all tasks and programs utilized by the department. For instance, the Stat Crew program that posts real-time stats online, and the program called Snappy that captures video, and you can post that to Twitter as the games are going on. Just a few different things that you get to learn. Photoshop for graphics. So that is one good thing instead of larger departments where you're very specialized. A small department, you get to learn all different things and learn all the ins and outs of basically everybody's job. A few threats is there are other colleges in the area to take away attention from Northern University of Northern Colorado. You have Colorado State in Fort Collins. You have Colorado University in Boulder, as well as Denver University in Denver, to take away from some of the attention. And you just have a lack of media coverage in northern Colorado specifically. The only media outlet located in Greeley is the Greeley Tribune. Other than that, all the other media outlets are in Denver and Fort Collins, and they all focus all their attention on the previous three programs that I mentioned for the most part. Dying newspapers is another problem. Just people getting laid off at newspapers, and in Greeley there's only one newspaper, so that's really the only outside media coverage that the University of Northern Colorado gets on a regular basis. So if the Greeley Tribune was to ever, I guess, cease to exist, then UNC would really struggle to get any media coverage at all. Just a few examples here, just the events that are covered. Obviously, football. Like I mentioned, pretty much everybody has to be available for the football games to help cover those, because it does take a lot of people to do all the jobs that we need to do for that. Also on basketball, not quite as many people, but it is still something that takes quite a bit of effort from everybody. Here's just a basic structural analysis of the communications department. You have the senior associate athletic director of external operations, and right below him is the director of athletic communications, and then below that are your graduate assistants and interns that the director of athletic communications is directly responsible for. So as you can see, it's a very flat or horizontal structure. It doesn't, you don't have to go very far to get your message up to the top of the ladder. So I would also say that this structure is not very, it's decentralized, meaning that the department does make a lot of their decisions on their own. They aren't constantly being told what to do or micromanaged by the senior associate athletic director. It's also, I guess I would describe it also as not highly specialized, just because there isn't a lot of not a lot of aspects to the department. It's pretty basic. It's a pretty simple structure. Like I said, there's just very few people in the department. And it basically has to be like this. The reason the structure is so simple is because the size is small. So this is basically the structure that is required, and because everybody kind of has to work together and do the same jobs and know the same technology. So as a result, it's a very simple structure is what needed. A more complex structure simply wouldn't work in this type of environment. The communications department, I would say, operates on an open system. Starting in the top left, you have your sporting event, and then during the sporting event, you're recording information. And as you're recording the information, you are disseminating that information to the public during the event and after the event's over as well. And then you get feedback from the the communications manager, director, and sometimes the associate AD about any different ways they'd like to see things done, or changes in the way you're writing your post game stories, things like that. And then you can make your adjustments for the next sporting event. All the departments are very intermingled. They work together. The communications department up top, they work with the promotions department, the marketing department, the facilities department. They all have to work together to put on a good product during a game. And they also meet every week as well to kind of discuss the week ahead, and they discuss all this with the athletic director, and get any feedback from the athletic director for any suggestions that he might have. Moving on to culture, UNC, like most programs, does have an objective culture where they put out their things that they're proud of, that they want people to see. In this case, you have trophies and awards and things like that that they want people to see. But the real culture is the subjective culture, how it is actually inside the building every day with the employees that work there. From what I gathered, I would describe it as a relaxed atmosphere. I would say nobody feels a ton of pressure from the person above them. I'd also say there's no customs or norms, so there's no what you might call the Bears way. And that's a good thing, because people, organizations that get too attached to a certain way of doing things are averse to change. And when you're in an open system and having to respond to the environment around you, I believe you always need to be open to change and reacting to your environment. There's not really any subcultures within the department or the organization. Everybody seems to work well together. There's not really anybody that splits off and kind of does their own thing per se. They do a lot of socializing, going out after events to kind of build that teamwork and just build those personal relationships. And I would also describe it as a family culture. Everybody cares about each other and is just trying to work together and help each other put out the best product that they can. As for the managerial style in the department, they're definitely not micromanaged from the associate AD on down to the director or acting director of the communications department doesn't micromanage the interns and GAs. One thing there could be is more leadership ideas from the AD and senior associate AD. There is some feedback from time to time, but there's not enough, I would say. There needs to be more feedback there. I guess maybe the problem is there's only feedback when maybe something goes wrong, which you want to hear what you're doing well sometimes too. There's leading by example. The acting director of the department tries to do that with GAs and interns, by getting things out on the website on time. Also make sure everybody gets cross-trained, learning all the different programs and basically every different thing that you have to do. It just makes everything go a lot smoother since you have a small size for everybody to know everything.